where it all came from originally, the whole idea of AON, was for years I've been working with inventors. And as a company that does design work for people and helps people go to market and stuff, I was just convicted by the situation that as I was helping these inventors to get their product developed, I wasn't really benefiting them, because when I had finished and they paid me a few $1,000s or whatever it amounted to, I sent them back into the world, and they're really no further on. And all I'm doing is being part of the problem. I'm just costing them money. And very often I'd look at the invention and think, I don't really, is there a market for that? But I'm not an expert in that, and I just let it roll. And so the idea of instead creating a format that would stop the inventor from putting their money into something that doesn't have a hope of going to retail was what all this was born out of.
Mm-hmm. And Ron, when Andrew approached me about the idea, I initially just rolled my eyes and said, I don't want anything to do with this. Because any of us that have ever worked in consumer products or been around the retail industry, we know the reason that it's so hard for an inventor to get their idea to the shelf. No consumer product companies, with very few exceptions, want to ever have any contact with individual inventors, because there's a myriad of drawbacks, the unrealistic expectations, the emotional attachments, and they spend so much time. Well, you and I together, when we worked together for several years, and it's safe to say we worked with hundreds of ideas and inventors, and very few of them went any place, but we spent untold hours vetting them, and I think you'll remember, I joked, and I'm not sure if I was actually joking, back in the mid-90s even, saying, Ron, we need to put in a 900 number and charge so much a minute, because we're spending the vast majority of our day listening to ideas that are never going to go anyplace. And you've got much more experience in that. You've worked with thousands and thousands of inventors and individuals in your career with Walmart and Sam's Club. When we first tested the business model, and I said no to Andrew several times before I ever got close to a yes, mm-hmm. But because I reflected back on the years of you and I on a daily basis looking at ideas, and people came from all over the United States and Canada and carried their prototypes into our office, and they were excited and they had this great vision, but they didn't have the financial backing, they didn't have the ability or the understanding to carry their vision to fruition. And that became so frustrating that at some point I think we all understood why the consumer product companies, if you call them and tell them, hey, I've got $1 million idea, why no one calls you back.
For numbers of reasons, but the idea of any inventor is that they can sell millions to the masses. Mm-hmm. And we all know that a good idea is one that fills an unfilled niche in the marketplace, whatever that may be. But the challenge, the expense, and the time and expertise it takes to sell to the masses or get their product on the shelf at the mega retailers is a process that I would say would result in 99.5% of the items never finding the shelf.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And there's numerous reasons for that. But first of all, from the perspective of the retailer or the buyers, one, they don't like to deal with one-item suppliers.
Right.
Two is they challenge you and must be convinced before they'll buy your item that the public will know of the item, and you have created the demand for the item up front.
Right.
Otherwise, they would never put it on the shelf.
Yes.
To put your product on the shelf, they have to drop something else.
Right.
And the only reason for them to do that is that they believe your item will give them more sales and profits than the item they're dropping.
Correct.
So thus, the mega consumer product companies, the Procter & Gamble's, Unilevers of the world, Mattel's of the world, they have the money to promote, advertise, create a demand for a product. Now, the individual inventor, their choice is to build a consumer product company themselves, which is untold costly. You know, EDI, logistics, sourcing, all of the above costs a lot of money. So the average inventor thinks, I can take my good idea and make $1 million. And the real truth is they have a very, very slim chance of ever doing it.
Unless they can spend that up front.
Now, yes, if you want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the chance that it might be successful at retail, that's your choice.
Now, I had an inventor say to me the other day, this was one that was still at this point adamant that they didn't want to use an invention service. They wanted to use a product development company and then get a prototype. And they said, if I get a prototype, at that point, I think there's a high chance that somebody from Walmart might see it and want to buy it. And at that point, I'm going to make millions. How realistic do you consider that situation? What are the chances here?
Without being facetious or pessimistic, I would equate that possibility as a fair analogy of buying a single lotto ticket and winning the Powerball. We had meetings with inventors yesterday, as a matter of fact, that couldn't wait to pay for tooling, couldn't wait to have prototypes done. And we had to reiterate over and over that that's non-essential. At this stage of the game, it's wasting a lot of money, but yet there's companies out there that are taking advantage in many cases of the enthusiasm that inventors have.
And I think one of the situations that new item inventors and or companies realize quickly after they're to that point of trying to call on a buyer, the mega retailers of the world, whether it's Walmart, Target, QVC, Walgreens, you name it, they don't like adding new suppliers.
Right.
And because it's almost an educational process in their mind.
Absolutely.
I have to teach you how to the logistics, the system, the EDI, and all of the things that they require for you to do business with them. A lot of people don't realize that if you were able to call on a buyer at Walmart, let's use them as an example because they're the biggest out there, simply to fill out a vendor agreement and get a number that enables you to sell them.
Very arduous task.
Requires a financial history, a list of top 5 suppliers because they don't want to represent too much of your business.
Right.
So as a result, the Walmarts of the world challenge their existing large suppliers who know how to do business with them to constantly bring them new products.
It's possible to if somebody comes with AON, they're going to be able to get a percentage of sales. That's the idea. That's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, essentially. But they'd make more money if they went individually, if they had the money to invest. And I think that it really came home to me talking to an inventor the other day who had been working on invention in excess of 20 years. They had been working on this invention.
21 years.
Yeah, 21 years they've been working on it. They, at this point, I think had only put in between a couple of the partners or something like that, about 40,000. They'll be kicking that up probably by the end of the year, another 100,000 between some tooling and stuff like that. And when they've finally got to that stage, in essence, all they've got is a storage unit full of product that now they've got no distribution system or anything like that. So for an inventor that wants to go their own way, that's the kind of the road that they've got to be prepared for. And we're not when we're talking about those kind of numbers, you might be thinking, oh, that must be a pretty extensive big item. You can fit the item in the palm of your hand. I mean, there isn't that much to this item. So I know we had another one that the inventor done due diligence on, and he was estimating his cost to take it to that stage of having a storage unit full of his product was closer to $250,000 based on the people that he had talked to. So I guess the rule is there's a better financial gain if you get beyond that, but if you don't have $250,000 to throw into a product and literally years of your life to just keep banging that door down and stuff like that, in the hope that you do have something worth taking to market, then AON is a very cost-effective way of finding out if there's something there to begin with.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I might point out too, to your point, Andrew. Yes, if you've got adequate funding from wherever, or you're independently wealthy, and you have an idea, and you're willing to invest whatever it takes to find out if you can be successful with your idea. There are cases out there, we readily admit that, hey, fine, if you feel that way and you want to chase that dream, do it. We wouldn't try to talk you out of it. But most people aren't in that position. Secondly is, if you take that approach, and let's assume that you're $250,000 into your project, and finally you've got a storage unit full of product, and now you've got to go out and try to sell it. What most people, I think, and in my experience, as I talk to people with product ideas, they think they're going to make a fortune selling the retail marketplace. And I can tell you from dealing with thousands of suppliers to Walmart and other retailers in the world, if they make a gross profit margin in the 30-35% range and net into the bank, and these are dollars you put into the bank after the cost of running your company and doing business, if you can net 8 to 10%, you're very, very fortunate. I mean, it's people, the average person or inventor doesn't realize that.
Right.
So if you've got $250,000, $500,000 invested, you need to do that math as to how much you literally have to sell to make that back before you're ever at a break-even position.
And it's ironic that the AON customers who really probably benefit the most are the ones that we prevent from spending their life savings.
Yes.
We just spoke with a gentleman that spent just under $20,000, $17,000, $18,000 on an invention that he felt would be widely accepted. We looked at it, and within 5 minutes we told him that you've solved a problem that isn't worth solving, and the market is so small that the chances of ever recovering any development cost, in our opinion, are non-existent. And then he revealed, he said, I wish I would have come here first. I went to another company, they were eager to help me out, and now I've spent a big portion of my life savings, and all I have is a patent on something that nobody wants, which is interesting because according to the U.S. Patent Office, the best estimates out there, about 1 out of every 100, 1% of the patents that are even issued are thought to be commercially viable or actually make any sort of profit.
When we have an invention idea, it also runs through the gamut, the same approval process. And I to this day have a great idea that I feel would just be a diamond product in retail. But I'm a product designer. My experience is not in retail and viability and those kinds of things. And thankfully, I have the sage good advice of running the ideas by, and those some of those ideas have been stopped. They're not viable in certain areas, and a lot of inventors are going to get that stop at that point. And you are emotionally attached to it. I still say that even at this point with that product, it grinds me that my idea has been stopped and wouldn't be allowed through AON. As part owner of the company, I can't put my own product through there because my idea is flawed.
It's a 2-star idea.
That's right. And what I'm inclined to do, and I've already told you this, well, I'm going to get this prototype myself, and I'm going to run it by somebody, and I'm getting exactly that mindset that any inventor gets, that hears that no. But I really appreciate, because we're friends, Larry. It would be very easy for you to say, I like Andrew and everything like that. I'll give you a yes or something like that. But you wouldn't be my friend if you did that. And it's that same attitude that every inventor that comes here, a lot of them are going to hear a no. And that when they hear that no, they have to understand that it's their best friend giving them that no.
That's right. And Ron, while we can never guarantee anyone that their invention will make it to the shelf, what we can virtually assure them every single time, if we look at an item and feel that it's what we're going to call our 3-star item, an item that has the potential of being commercially successful, we can virtually guarantee them that the right people will look at it, that we'll have consumer product companies that look at it. I think one of the biggest surprises that customers, potential customers of AON and all product design for that matter, is when they realize that, and they come in the door or they call, and they're on in a kind of a defense mode because they're expecting some sort of hard sell. A number of them that we've noticed have already been to other invention service companies.
Yeah.
And have spent, in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars. And they come in and say, hey, look, I've got this neat little leather-bound book with a picture of my item in it, or I've got a little prototype here. Well, how long have you had that? Oh, I've had that for 5 years. Well, did anyone sell the item? No. Well, what good does that do anyone? And the difference is that we made the decision day one. And I'm going to make sure that we enforce and live by this throughout our career. We focus on the invention, not the inventors. Yesterday, Andrew and I sat in a meeting, and I explained that to an inventor, and they got it. The light came on for them. We're not focusing on you, because if I was focusing on you, you would have already written me a check for anything I asked for. And they realized that that was true. They would have. We're focusing on the invention. And it's much easier to tell the inventor what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Because they're running high on adrenaline and an emotional attachment for their baby, right? And we are purely looking at the validity of the concept. Do we think it'll sell? Is there a market for that in the United States? And if so, that's our focus point.
Yeah.
And that's what, in a sense, one of the most significant differences between us and other services that are out there. We're not saying that all the other services are bad. There's some good services out there. There are a lot of bad ones. And if you don't believe me, just check with the Federal Trade Commission.
And I like to use as an example Procter & Gamble or 3M. Huge R&D departments. So they are, yes, constantly looking for new items under their own umbrella, but at the same time, that takes years and a big investment for them.
Right.
So today, if you do have a truly unique product that they know, they being the big consumer product companies, know represent an opportunity to do large volume, they're eager to get involved. And it's getting to that point, and that's what we're professing through this silo that you're building with consumer product companies, the ability to get a potentially great item in front of those folks.
And so by going with this model where we're basically protecting the inventor from their own enthusiasm, and I know that a lot of people cringe when they hear me say that the first time, but that's the reason for our 3-step process. The first step is free, to have an individual really think through the idea and the mechanism that's in place, because we have already had numerous inventors bring us ideas and concepts that they wanted to go into business with us and hire us and partner with us, and yet they haven't even checked to see if it's for sale. And we don't want to take fees from someone and then find out that we can't patent this and we can't protect it, and that there's no possibility of building any substantive business. So our first step in AONinvent.com is to simply look and see, Google that item. Can you find it for sale, and give it a diligent search to see if there's something close. Go to the U.S. Patent Office website. That website has been updated, in recent years to become much more user-friendly. Do a search and see, is there something already out there? We're not here to take fees from people just for the purpose of taking fees. We don't want to build a business that makes dollars for us and doesn't make sense for the inventor. That's the key. Our goal is to have the most substantive, the most proficient invention service company on the earth, and that's our goal, to be there within a year in terms of the percentages of inventions that actually become commercially viable. And to do that, we have to protect the inventor from themselves and from unsuspecting, in some cases, predators in this industry. And there's so much of that we all know. The U.S. Patent Office warns on their homepage, the Federal Trade Commission warns about the dangers of invention service companies. So that's the purpose of our second step. The second step, $249 call, is to give us a chance to get acquainted with the inventor, to understand what they've done, to vet the idea themselves, to explain to us exactly what their invention is, and to give them our best first gut feel as to whether or not we think their idea has legs. And then if it does, to recommend that they go forward with the 3-star, if they have in fact a 3-star idea, with our full service, which is a flat $3,000, and you get a lot for that. We have a esteemed patent team to do the patent search in-house, to file a provisional application that has substance, so that it's positioned to transition over into a utility patent within that 12-month period. And then our team here goes to work to create a presentation, video presentation of the idea, to explain that and pitch it to our silo members, the members of the consumer products industry. There are 700 plus consumer product companies within 20 miles of this office right here. We can't, everywhere you go, you run into people in the consumer products industry. So we have already gone to a number of those companies and asked, would you be interested in being a part of and being a member of our silo? And virtually every single one of them that we've talked with has said absolutely yes. So we're confident that the model will work if we can keep everything focused on the essentials and avoid the challenges. And we should probably talk about that a minute, because when you first look at our model, the fact is, once we screen an item and it gets to the point where we establish that we have a 3-star item, and the inventor decides to hire AON Invent and essentially partner with us for the development of their item. At that point, we take control of that item. It's nothing that's done with deception or trickery. We tell them up front, from the moment we accept that item, we'll manage that item as if it was our own, because we will control and maintain a 51% ownership in that.
Is that a hard pill to swallow for
initially? It is, and you can probably imagine that it would be. Someone says, "Hey, it's my idea," and you're telling me that that you're going to control and own 51%. This is where they benefit from that. The inventor benefits from that. For one, they know exactly what their upfront costs are going to be. They know they're not going to have additional cost in that. We have a vested interest in seeing to it that that product becomes successful, because that $3,000, I can assure you that doesn't even cover the actual hard cost in doing the patent search, the patent work, the development, the design work that goes into that, the presentation that's created for the CPGs. But what it does do is it offsets a significant portion of our internal hard costs, at least a good portion of it, and puts us in a situation where in a very short period of time we can have that invention evaluated and vetted by the CPG community. As the consumer product goods companies look at that item, they realize that, hey, we're going to have some sort of licensing fee available someplace in most cases as they take on new items.
Yeah.
But the benefit is when they do that through the AON silo, is that we're using our 51% of that royalty to actually pay the development cost of that. So the CPG comes along and says, we love your widget. And instead of them plugging that into the system of a Fortune 500 company that's going to take 12 months to get that product ready to go where it can be shown to a buyer, we do that for them. We've got the in-house ability to do the manufacturer-ready design work that can be plugged right into their manufacturing facility, wherever that happens to be, U.S., China, wherever it happens to be. And also the legal cost of going for the transitioning from the provisional patent to the full utility patent, non-provisional patent. We take care of that as well. So there's very little risk for the consumer product company, and their time to market has been shortened. The inventor benefits because we're dealing with these issues ourselves and taking on those costs. We're going to make sure that those items, when they go to the CPGs, that we're comfortable with the fact that we truly believe that that item belongs on the shelf. And if we don't believe that, it's not going to go in the silo.
And Larry, having said that, obviously, regardless of what we think, regardless of how good the product is,
Right.
a consumer product company may not be interested.
That's absolutely right.
So you might need to explain at what point
Good.
that item reverts back over to the inventor.
Perfect. During the first year of an invention's life, we carve out and pay particular attention to the 270 days from the time that provisional patent application is filed. A provisional patent application is going to protect a concept, an invention, for a total of 365 days. We will do everything we can to make that invention a commercial success. And if we can't do it in 270 days, one of two things happen at AON's discretion. We either hand the invention back to the inventor with our patent search and our provisional filings that we've done on their behalf, and give them an opportunity, if they still think that the idea has merit, they can then on their own go out and apply for the utility patent and do whatever they want to with it at their cost, and having again recaptured 100% ownership in it. We completely relinquish any claim to that item. However, let's say we're 270 days down the road and we still believe that even though no one has pounced on this, we still believe that this is really a great item. And if that case exists, we then have the option to spend the extra thousands of dollars and continue to develop this item, procure the non-provisional patent, do any additional development work that needs to be done purely at our expense. And something that inventors are always surprised at is when we get the deposit on a new invention from the CPG, first money's in, reimburse the inventor for all their out-of-pocket expense. Because the most an inventor can possibly have out-of-pocket working with AON is $3,249. And those are in the steps. Step 1 being no charge, step 2, $249, step 3 being $3,000. That's the most. So they know up front, this is what it's going to cost me. And then again at the 270-day mark, if we decide that we still have a lot of confidence in this, and if we need to throw more money at it, more time and legal efforts and whatnot of our legal department, we're willing to do that. They have nothing to lose at that point because we never name ourselves on the patent applications.
No.
It's always in the name of the inventor. All of the unique components that make the AON product exceptional and to make it unique come together in one location. It's the fact that the demographic of our backyard does not exist anyplace else on planet Earth. There's not a place in the world where we can sit in front of 700 consumer product companies within a 10-minute drive. That doesn't exist. And it's not about and I want to address something that people are probably assuming, that the only thing we do is sell inventions to Walmart vendors. That's not the case.
Right.
But the vendor community is located right here, and those same suppliers sell to everybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Ron, you've been involved in a lot of businesses. You've sat on the board of directors of some very viable companies. You've led, Walmart in its early days. You started Sam's Club as the founding CEO. You've been involved in the motion picture industry and a myriad of other endeavors. How many investments do you know where for $3,249 you could potentially, worst case scenario, you lose $3,249, but where the upside could be getting a royalty check every quarter for thousands of dollars for the next potentially 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if Wall Street offered that sort of investment, there would be a line from here to Wall Street, people lined up to buy that, right? Mm-hmm. And without a lot of hype, that's literally the way this business model works. A small piece of a large commercial success story is and can be a significant return when we look at it in that.
Well,
that
an analogy of what you're talking about I might use, and I don't want to divert here,
That's right.
but I play a lot of golf since I retired from Walmart until I met you and got involved with AON. But I played in a golf tournament south of Nashville a few years running, and it was a songwriters golf tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of those meets, tournaments, I played with the gentleman who wrote "Wind Beneath My Wings." And we all, if you know the music industry, we think the artists make all the money, the singers, and truthfully, the most money is made by songwriters, and that's why everybody likes to think they can write. But the truth is that one hit song, "Wind Beneath My Wings," that gentleman got a little piece as the writer, a little royalty. To this day, he makes around $50,000 to $60,000 a month from that one song.
Yeah.
So the point is, it's not. And Sam Walton, my mentor who created Walmart, once told me, "Ronnie, you don't put percentages in the bank, you put dollars in the bank." So regardless of the percentage, an inventor might realize from a royalty, if his item were truly successful, nationwide, worldwide, with a consumer product company, and he could glean a little percent from that, he could make far more money with no risk, and that's the key, no risk. Because not all items are successful forever.
Right.
So you may make good money for a while, and something comes along and replaces it, or your patent runs out, and now the foreign companies are underselling you and stealing your sales.
Which is a good time not to own that consumer product company.
That's right. That's right.
You're getting the piece of the pie. You have none of the liabilities.
Personally, if I had a great idea, I'd like to sit at home, work on the next idea, and rake in the monthly checks on the first one.
Wait for the
With no
mailman to
risk.
come. Exactly.
That's right.
Wait for the mailman to come.